Welcome into Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by NFL All Day. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champion Shaun and the Super Bowl champion Amani, Toomer. The Giants went out to Philadelphia for an NFC Divisional round playoff matchup, but fell to the Eagles 38-7. The Eagles have won the last 10 matchups between these two teams, Shaun.
Yeah, it feels very one-sided. It's hard to call something a rivalry when the other team is always winning. This was such a disappointing night. And for the Giants, there was so much momentum, so much optimism, so many things to look forward to with this team, with how well they were playing. And I think, Giants fans out there, I'm sure, are extremely disappointed. There will be time to reflect on all the positives. But I know as a team, that Giants team did not play their best football tonight. And I think that's probably the most frustrating thing to watch for us and for them to know that, we did not give them our best shot. They didn't play very well. It felt like deja vu. It felt like week 14 all over again. Could not stop the run, could not protect the quarterback, and couldn't take care of the football. And that's exactly how you lose football games in the regular season. Certainly in the playoffs, it gets magnified.
The one thing that really bothers me about this whole situation is the what if, right? What if we would have came out? What if the Giants would have came out and played their best game? What would that have looked like? And this is exactly what did not happen this afternoon. And it's really disheartening because the fact that everything was going the Giants' way. They were playing really good football. They were one of the hottest teams in the NFL after the Super Wild Card weekend, and to come out and go down to Philadelphia, a rival, and look like that, it was just very disappointing for all the Giants fans and for us here as well.
It's a tough one, too, when you look at the way that this game was played. Philadelphia really took advantage of the matchup in the run game, really got 268 rushing yards on the ground. As we just take a look at the way Jalen Hurts keeping it for a few. Hurts had 34 rushing yards on the day, but also handed it off to a few of his counterparts, Shaun.
Yeah, Miles Sanders has been kept under 70 yards, and I think his last 4 or 6 games. Hadn't scored a touchdown in 5 games, I believe. That guy, Boston Scott, continued his streak, scored a touchdown. But it was bully ball, and you could see right there, it didn't matter if it was Miles Sanders or if it was Gainwell, if it was Boston Scott. Here's Gainwell right here on 3rd and 12, finding a way to carry 3 defenders, and that was the story of the night. The Eagles looked faster, they looked stronger, they looked better. And I feel like after the Week 14 game, we all sat here, did the postgame show, and we felt like, man, that's the best team in the NFL right now. If not definitely the NFC, but if not the NFL. It felt like the All-Pros versus the All-Joes. And then the Giants got things clicking at the end of the season, and we felt like it was going to be a different outcome tonight. It did not happen. And I think defensively, in Week 14, you could kind of look at it and say, hey, there was no Leonard Williams, there was no Adoree Jackson, no Xavier McKinney. There was no excuses tonight. All 3 of those players played, and with the exception of Adoree Jackson, really Xavier McKinney got beat on a couple of plays. Leonard Williams was really a non-factor. So as much as there was optimism to have them back, it didn't really come to fruition. And, here's the touchdown play right here to Dallas Goedert. Xavier McKinney in coverage actually kind of gets picked by A.J. Brown and trips and falls. But that wasn't just it. Dallas Goedert here, he is stiff arming Adoree Jackson, rumbling forward. We just did not have an answer for the tight end. And here he is, again, breaking through on a tackle, getting another first down there in the red zone. This is something that, look, you have to fix it. They're in our division. They're not going away. Dallas Goedert's going to be there. Jalen Hurts is going to be there. This rushing game, everybody talked about what impact Jalen Hurts going to have coming back. He was banged up. Is he going to be rusty? He started out on fire, but his impact in the run game showed up so much. 268 yards. As an offensive lineman, Amani, that's game ball territory right there. You're getting a game ball after you rush for 200 yards.
Yeah, you're not going to win too many games giving up 200 yards, especially to a division rival. But one thing that really bothered me, and I don't know if you noticed it as well, but the tackling. There was a lot of missed tackles. There was a lot of sloppy yards after contact, which is something that we hadn't seen from this Giants team, especially from the Wink Martindale ran defense. And today, it just seemed like they were waiting for somebody to make a big play, and it just kept snowballing. They got to 7, they got to 14. And once it got to 21, that's when everybody really started getting tight, and it just didn't look like the same type of football. We didn't look like the defensive line had the push. The offensive line wasn't creating holes. And Saquon Barkley with 9 carries, for 60-some yards, averaging 6.8 yards a carry. every week I bang on the table. Why we got to get Saquon going? But the game, they didn't have a lot of snaps in their defense, and when you don't get keep the drives going, when you're really bad on third down, your playbook gets reduced because of the fact you don't have any options. So it's one of those situations where you look at this team and you're just the what if. What if we would have played with the same execution as we did the week before, as the Giants did the week before? Who knows, the what if, and that's going to kill all the Giants fans, and I'm going to be thinking about it all offseason going into the next matchup when we play Philadelphia again, inevitably two times next season.
Those third downs are crucial. You mentioned, I think they had one third down conversion in the entire first half. They went 3 and out in 3 consecutive possessions. That's exactly how you take your running back out of the game. Like you can't, if you don't get first downs, you can't stay on the field. You don't get the defense tired. You can't run the football. Daniel Jones had the one interception on a blitz. That's a throw I know he'd like to take back because he had Saquon against the defensive end on a hot release. And anytime you see that and you get Saquon Barkley on a defensive end, that's a mismatch. You've got to take advantage of it. That was a missed throw, and that was the interception by Bradbury.
Yeah, you mentioned third down. Philadelphia 10 of 14 on third down, 5 of 6 of 6 from the red zone now. Definitely helped them on their way to a win. 38-7 was the final, and that's a season for the New York Giants. But that's not a show for us. We've got much more to unpack after the break. We're hearing from the coach. But first, guests of our post-game show received a gift certificate to Ben and Jack's, located on 44th Street in Manhattan. From the celebrated porterhouse to finer seafood, Ben and Jack's will surpass your expectations of what a steakhouse should be. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live. After the break, head coach Brian Daboll heads to the podium. Postgame Live brought to you by NFL All Day. The Giants fell to the Philadelphia Eagles 38-7 in the NFL Divisional round of the playoffs. Guys, one of the things, storylines going into this game was the Eagles defense, right? There are 70 sacks on the season, 4 different players with double-digit sacks, the first team in NFL history to have that. And Daniel Jones felt that tonight, sacked 5 times. What do you make of that matchup in the trenches that we saw?
Well, we knew it was going to be a big key. If the Giants could hold up and give Daniel Jones time to make some plays, that was a big component of this offense and really the game plan. I think Evan Neal, everybody was watching him. How are you going to handle the speed rush of Hassan Reddick? And you could tell that affected them. The crowd noise, the silent count, that affected them. The defensive line seemed like they were always one step ahead of the Giants' offensive line and their quickness. And the one thing that I noticed, the Giants' offensive line tonight really struggled with the twist games. There were too many times Nick Gates was on the wrong level with Andrew Thomas, and they did not pass off twists on the right either. So, look, the Eagles were, they were getting after the quarterback, and there was little resistance on a lot of the pass plays. Now, first and second down, when you struggle on that, you get in third and long, I mean, that contributes to all of that. So you definitely knew this was going to be a big factor, and exactly what you didn't want to happen. The game starts to get away from you, down 14-0, down 21-0 or that. That's exactly what you didn't want to happen, and it played right into them.
Yeah, because when they get that pass rush going, it could get really iffy, especially when you have, your receiving core isn't, up to par in terms of their, against their secondary. Their secondary had a lot of pass breakups. They seemed like they were always in the right position, and it was a tough game to watch in terms of how it was the week before and how it was leading up, and then all of a sudden you get to this big moment, and then what are we going to remember the last of this season is this game, and this season was so much success happened this season, getting to the playoffs, winning a playoff game. And for it to end this way, it's never good ending this way.
Yeah, lots of bright spots for sure from this season, but of course this game fresh in our minds. Let's send it down now to Philadelphia, where head coach Brian Daboll is at the podium.
How's everybody doing? Good. Crash landing here. Give Philly credit. They did everything better than we did today, and tough game. We really got beaten all facets. So it wasn't one thing in particular. It was, team game, and just didn't get it done. So congratulations to Philly. They get to move on, and unfortunately we don't.
When a team like that gets a jump like this, how hard is it to stop that momentum in that first half?
I'd say anytime teams get a jump like that, it's always, having a lead at halftime is a pretty high percentage of having a chance to win. Really it wasn't. We couldn't get anything going offensively. Couldn't stop them on third downs in the red zone, running the ball. It was a collective effort in terms of not being able to get it done. So that starts with me, and I appreciate our team. I told those guys I appreciate their effort the entire year, their work ethic, the people in the organization. But Philly deserved to win that game. So it's a crash landing in the playoffs. Losses hurt. These losses hurt even more.
Do you believe away from what you did this season at all for you that it ended like
Yeah, Jordan, I don't probably not there yet. It's the immediate aftermath of getting beat soundly. I feel for those guys, but we didn't get it done.
Do you believe the future here is bright? I mean, that might be really broad.
Yeah, probably a little bit too early. Look, I'm proud of the guys, the way we competed. I'm proud of the coaches, the staff members. But you really only do this for one reason at this level, and it's it hurts when you lose.
It seemed like you wanted to be aggressive tonight. I mean, it started early with going for it there.
Yeah. That's it. That 4th and 8 or 4th and 7 where we were. I knew what the line was for our kicker. It was past that, so I felt good about the play that we had worked on throughout the week. We've practiced a fair amount of 4th downs. We just didn't get it done.
What about the punt in the fourth quarter? You're down 21.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the one that was. They hadn't scored it yet in that half. I'm counting on the defense maybe just from so backed up to maybe get a 3 and out. Then they had a long drive. Probably could have went for it. Really weren't executing well enough to either. So, yeah, that's what we did.
How different was Jalen from this game from the last time you saw him?
Jalen's a good football player. That's why he's in the MVP race. So, they did everything well. 10 of 14 on third down, 4 or 5 in the red zone, 270 yards, controlled the game, 6.1 yard average. They played good offensive football.
Can you kind of put into words just their pass rush seemed to give you guys some problems throughout the day?
Yeah, I think as the game goes on, that they're a good pass rush team as it is, and then how the game was going, I think that aids in it too. But that's why they were a couple sacks away from the record. They got a really explosive team, offense, defense, kicking game. They're a good football team. They deserve to move on.
Why did they have so much success? Really, both times that they handled you, the first meeting and this time running the football.
They're a good team. They have good schemes. They have good players, and they did a better job of executing their stuff. I think Wink was dialing up a bunch of different things, and they had it rolling tonight. Give them credit.
What do you think about Daniel Jones' performance?
They competed. Just look. We all didn't do a good enough job. That starts with me. Daniel's a competitor. Again, the game, it really was. They controlled the game the entire game.
Brian, what do you tell these guys post-game?
Yeah, told them to keep their heads up. They competed hard. It's a crash landing in the playoffs. Anytime you lose, it hurts because of the amount of effort and energy you put into it each week. And when you lose this time of year, it hurts even more. You work extremely hard to get to this point. You're blessed to get to this point. It's hard to do, and give Philly credit. They did everything better than we did tonight.
I know you still want to take a step back before you really evaluate the big picture of this. But you've been in this league for a while. You've been a coach for a while. How valuable is experience like you guys gained this year for young players from what you've experienced throughout your career?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is playing well. I think there'll be a time for more reflecting and things like that. But the most important thing is playing well, and again, give Philly credit.
What was it usually take you to digest the end of the season here like this?
A while. Yeah, a while. I don't know. We'll have meetings tomorrow and exit meetings and things like that, and go through things. And it's a long off season. There's a lot of stuff to do. Right now, I'm just, when you lose at this time of year, it sucks.
I realize you're just coming off the field, but can you appreciate the strides that Daniel made this year? And did he even surprise you a little bit by how much he improved?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. I'd say, Daniel's been a consistent guy since he's been here. I told all the guys I appreciate what they've done, the commitment they've given to their teammates, to the coaches, to the organization. And, there's no easy way to say it. It's a tough pill to swallow right now.
Do you think Daniel will be the quarterback for the next Giants game?
Yeah, all these conversations, we're going to have those. We got a long offseason, and there's a time and a place to have all those conversations. Tonight's not it.
Dave, how much do you think tonight's game was decided in the trenches?
Well, I'd say it's decided all the way around. I mean, we got beat soundly. We got outcoached. We got outplayed. That all starts with me.
Does this loss here almost set the measuring stick moving forward, that this is the gap you guys have to close?
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for that too. I'm just, I really don't have a whole lot to add. I understand you guys' questions and stuff. I'm just, taking this one in, and unfortunately we didn't get it done.
Another adjective question for you. How would you describe how you're feeling right now? I'm just curious.
How am I feeling?
Yeah, you're like trying. It seems like you're trying to process it, but I'm wondering if you're disappointed or you're just kind of shocked. Like, how would you describe how you feel?
Disappointed. Wish we could have done a better job. Wish I could have done a better job. Feel like crap. That's as honest as you can be. You work extremely hard to get to this spot. You do not take it for granted. This is a hard place to get to, this division round, and to move forward. And just, I feel more for the players and the coaches because we've put everything we had into it, and we didn't get it done.
That first drive that you had after they scored the opening touchdown,
yeah.
You had a 4th and 8.
Yep.
How much did you struggle with punt or go for it there?
No, I didn't struggle with it. That was wanted to be fairly aggressive. Where we were at we were too far out to kick a field goal, and I liked the play that Kafka was going to call, and went for it.
Right before that, there was a sack, right? So that knocks you out of field goal range, I guess, in your mind.
Yeah, the line for us tonight was the 35. That was where our line was. So anything after that, now you got to make 4th down decisions, decide what you want to do. You can do that, after warm-ups. So that's where it was tonight. Got to have it. Let's maybe add a couple more to that, but that's where we started with.
Take a couple more.
Ron, do you feel like the team, I know you've only been in there for a couple of minutes, but does the mood that you sense in there reflect what you're feeling now?
Yeah, we're disappointed. We do this for one reason, just try to win, and we didn't get it done.
Okay. All right.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys all year. You guys do a good job, and sorry we can't meet next week.
Daniel and Julian in your locker room zone.
That sound from head coach Brian Daboll, brought to you by Ford, as he calls it, a crash landing to what was otherwise an incredible debut season for the first-year head coach of the New York Football Giants. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by NFL All Day. But first, the New York Giants official mobile app is your destination for all things New York Giants. The updated mobile app includes the best Giants highlights, news, videos, photos, and podcasts, available for free for Apple and Android phones and tablets. More to come on Giants Postgame Live as we recap 38-7 loss in Philadelphia. Time now for the scoring drive of the game, brought to you by HCL Tech, supercharging progress, the official digital transformation partner of the New York Football Giants. For the drive of the game, we bring you to the third quarter, 3rd and 2. Saquon Barkley keeps the ball, runs it for a 39-yard game, his longest run of the afternoon. Then Daniel Jones looking and keeps the ball, runs it forward, moves the chains, grabs the first down. At the goal, 1st and goal, Daniel Jones motions out. Saquon Barkley takes a direct snap and slyly hands it off to Matt Breida, who runs it in for the 8-yard rushing touchdown, the first score of the day for the New York Football Giants. 10 plays, 88 yards, 6 minutes and 1 second taken off the clock, capped by that 8-yard rushing touchdown from Matt Breida. Scoring drive of the game. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by NFL All Day. We now send it down to Philadelphia, where Kayvon Thibodeau is speaking in the locker room.
Yeah, we just got to keep going. It's going to be a long off season. We just got to keep grinding and be back next year.
Hey, Ron, why weren't you guys able to get any pressure on Jalen? What worked so well for the Eagles today?
Great team, great execution, and they made the plays.
How important is it, as hard as it is in this moment, to remind yourself of what this team accomplished?
We got to keep our heads up, keep going, and just keep playing with no regrets. Thank you.
That sound from the rookie Kayvon Thibodeau, brought to you by Ford, as we take a look at his numbers tonight against the Eagles. 5 tackles, 3 assisted, 8 combined. He was a guy who came into his own later in the season, Shaun.
Yeah, he definitely had a great second half of the season. I think early on, obviously, the injury to his knee that he suffered in the preseason, that definitely delayed his progress. Early on this year, Madelyn, he had a lot of his performance didn't produce a lot of production stat-wise, but there was a lot of hidden production in there. And then all of a sudden, the second half of the season, the sacks started to come, the big plays, the forced fumbles. And I think we started to see the athleticism that everybody loved he had at Oregon, and his confidence started to grow. Tonight, you saw the stats. I mean, he made some plays. He made some nice tackles. A couple times he strung some plays out. But again, he ended up going up against 2 of the best tackles in the league right now, Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata. This was the best offensive line the NFL had all season long. So this was a great litmus test for him, as well as the rest of the Giants defensive line.
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for him to see where he really fares in the NFL and where it stands going against, the offensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles. But also, this is what you expect of a rookie. The rookies that come in and go right to the Pro Bowl, that's very few and far between. But the rookies that come in and flash a little bit, but just don't understand the consistency of what you need to do to be a pro, I think he had a great opportunity to learn how to be a pro, and I expect a lot from him next year, because he'll start to rely on his athletic ability. He'll start to be able to, be more consistent as a player throughout the entire 17-week season.
Well, and learning how to be a pro, but as you mentioned, as a rookie, such a unique experience as well, making the postseason in your rookie year. Having that experience under his belt so early in his NFL career must mean something.
Yeah, I mean, I think for him, he can look around the locker room. Look, that was Saquon's first playoff game last week against Minnesota. Same thing for Daniel Jones. A lot of the guys in the locker room, Leonard Williams has been in the league a long time. This was his first playoff game. So you kind of look around the locker room and you're like, man, I'm a rookie. All right, this seems kind of easy. We made my first year, we make it to the playoffs, and then you start to look around at guys like, wow, all right, this guy's been in the league 7 years, and this is his first taste. So I think it's good for him. It's good for this team. Brian Daboll talked about, look, it's always a tough ending. Anytime the season ends, it feels very abrupt, but certainly in the playoffs, it feels like someone pulled the rug out from underneath you. But as a team, the first time you kind of go through that, get to the playoffs, you realize, okay, you know what? We're not satisfied with just getting to the playoffs now. Now we got a taste of it. We understand what that victory feels like. Now we understand how we have to play, the standard of excellence we have to practice at, prepare at, and play at in order to achieve those goals. This was a big season for the entire team. The playoffs, certainly great learning lessons for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that first time, it just is a different game. Amani, you mentioned your first time in the playoffs, how different that game plays.
Yeah, every veteran plays like a rookie, in terms of the effort, because there's not many opportunities for most people in to make the playoffs. And one thing I wanted to say, it's not guaranteed that this team's going to make the playoff again next year. I mean, this is a special team. They made a special progress from where they were winning 4 games the year before to now all of a sudden winning 10, going to the playoffs, winning a playoff game. But that just doesn't mean you're going to do it next year. There's a lot of work that has to be done in terms of personnel and have to meet the same amount of execution that they did this year. One thing that the Giants were great with this year is they did not turn the ball over, and they forced teams to beat them. And this today was a day where they kind of had 2 turnovers, one on downs, one for the interception, and both of those things really made it impossible, especially against some of the better teams in the league. The better teams in the league, you have to play very close to the best football, and that just did not happen today.
Yeah, absolutely. A tough loss for the New York Giants, falling to the Eagles 38-7 in the NFC Divisional round. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live, but first, Giants fans, are you ready to take repping your team to the next level? NFL All Day is the ultimate new way to showcase your Giants fandom. Built for the digital world, collect your favorite moments from stars like Saquon Barkley and use them to compete for epic fan prizes. Try it out today on NFLAllDay.com. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Make sure to follow the New York Giants on social media. You can follow on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube for the latest team coverage, breaking news, and content. Check out the follows right here. Make sure to follow along for all the latest Big Blue news. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by NFL All Day. Madelyn, Burke, Shaun, and Amani Toomer recapping the Giants' NFC Divisional round loss to the Eagles. Lawrence Taylor chiming in from Twitter saying, "Wasn't meant to be tonight. Proud of our guys. Nobody expected them to be here. Hell of a season, Big Blue." I mean, that is an interesting point, though. A lot of the narrative around house money and this team, nobody expected this from them. Does that matter if you're a player, Amani?
Doesn't make it feel any better. I mean, right now in this moment, we know that this team was limited in certain ways, and we know that there was no expectation. And the fact that we made the playoff, that the Giants made the playoffs, everybody was, popping bottles, and they won a game. Oh, it's even better. But the fact of the matter is, it still doesn't make it any easier that the season's over, because there was a shot of the Giants moving on and going further on in the playoffs, and they didn't play their best football today. And that's what really is going to stick with me is for the rest of the season, for the rest of this offseason is, what if they would have played their best game? How would this game have turned out if they would have played their best game today? And that's what's going to make this offseason hard for me and for, I know, all the rest of the Giants fans.
Amani, you know how this goes. You go in the locker room, everybody's quiet, you're distraught, you're disappointed. You get on the bus, and then you start looking at your phone. You start looking at your text messages. Everybody's like, "Hey, man, proud of you guys." Hey, man. And you're like, I don't want to hear that right now. No, it's not okay. And to your point, the disappointment is not in the loss, all right? Not all losses are equal. It's not the fact that, we lost to a better team. You know what? It came down in the end. They kicked a field goal, or we needed one more play. This was a complete no-show. We blew our shot to show the world that we are a legitimate playoff team, and I think that's probably hurts even more. It's that we didn't put our best foot forward. We didn't play even close to, and forget about our A game. This wasn't our B game. This wasn't our C game. This was an F. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the hardest thing when you know how much time you put into it, how much work, how much emotional energy went into it from the players and the coaches. That's tough. It's tough to go and, you're going 100 miles an hour on playoff week, and then it's like, boom. All right, well, tomorrow we're coming in and cleaning our locker, and you know what, to your point, we don't know if we're going to ever make the playoffs again. I don't know if I'm going to play with you next year. Exactly. Like, you're a free agent, or you know what, who knows, my contract's up. You're never going to be with that same group of guys, and the finality of that is really tough. I think on a macro level, I think everybody is proud of the progress that this team has made. A year ago today, the Giants were looking for a head coach and a general manager, and they needed to completely turn this ship around. That has happened. This time last year, the only P word we were talking about was progress, not playoffs. The fact that they not only made it to the playoffs, but won a playoff game, I think this is huge momentum for this team. I think it's something that you can absolutely build on if you're Brian Dable and you're this coaching staff. Hopefully you keep your coaching staff intact, because that's the one thing with success. People start coming to try to pluck your talent. But I think for the Giants to get that back in this building, get that energy back, the pride has been restored to the New York Giants. Our way didn't work out tonight, but I think the way of the future looks bright.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, this was a very special team, the 2022 New York Football Giants. One of the guys on this team, a first-time captain, Julian Love, is at the podium in Philadelphia. Let's send it down.
Yeah, it's tough. Anytime you put your heart out there, you give it your all, and fall short, it hurts. Especially, this team and our story this year. It definitely, losing's tough, and it's a very unfortunate way to end the season.
Their offense got going. I know you just talked about how tough was it for them to kind of stop that momentum in that first half.
Yeah, I think all year long they were a team that was really good at starting fast. We had to do the same, and we didn't today. And third down, red zone, across the board, that it takes to succeed, in football. We didn't do that well early. And so, the score early, showed because of those few situational moments.
As far as you guys came this year, is this a reminder of how far you still have to go to really be a contender?
Yeah, I think, every year there's one goal for each team, and that's to win a Super Bowl. And no matter where you are, one team gets the satisfaction of reaching their goal. And so, yeah, I mean, it's tough. I don't believe in moral victories. People can say, oh, you made it far. People didn't expect much of you. Well, we expected a lot of ourselves this year. And we just fell short, in a critical game today.
Anytime you got a team coming off the bye, you expect little wrinkles here and there. Did they show you stuff early that maybe was a little unexpected or different?
They showed us a couple of things, but they stay true to their game plan. They have succeeded all year long because of what they do well, and they did it today. They ran the ball way too well on us today, and it killed us.
What kind of growth did you see in Daniel this year, and how close do you think he is to being an elite quarterback?
Yeah, Daniel has all the tools of the trade. He has the arm, he has the capability, he has the leadership, the effort, the hard work that it takes to be an elite quarterback. I think he won a lot of games for us this year. As much as I don't believe in wins and losses as a quarterback stat, he did his thing for us this year. And as this team continues to build for the future, just try to get more people around him just to help him succeed. I think he took a huge step this year, and I think Giants fans have to be proud of just all he accomplished this year.
That sound from Julian Love brought to you by Ford as we take a look at his numbers tonight in Philadelphia against the Eagles. 8 tackles, 2 TFL. Julian Love as the Giants fall to the Eagles 38-7. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live. After the break, we'll hear from Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Stay with us. We'll more after this.
Good team, good defense. Good front, good secondary. They played well. A lot of credit to them all year.
What kind of led to this one getting out of hand a little early?
We just didn't execute well enough early on. Didn't score points. Turnover was critical, and just kind of fell behind. They're a good team, and we got off to a slow start that really put us back.
I'm sorry,
Last week, your athleticism and mobility were huge difference makers against Minnesota. Was it the Eagles' closing speed, or what was the difference in them containing that aspect of your game today?
I think, I'll certainly go back and look at the tape and see where there's opportunities to make some more plays and where I could have done a better job. I thought a good job with their rush, and I thought their speed and they made some good plays when I did try to get out and my legs a little bit, but they're good. I'll go back and look at it and see where I can take better advantage of those chances.
What was Dave Ball's message to the team after the loss?
Obviously not the result we wanted today. Didn't play well enough today, and we're certainly disappointed by that. But we came a long way this year. We accomplished a lot as a team, and we got a special group of guys in that locker room, and it was a special thing to be a part of. So certainly not satisfied with where we are, but a lot of appreciation and respect for the guys in the locker room.
What's the future like?
That sound from Daniel Jones brought to you by Ford as we take a look at his regular season numbers. He became the first quarterback in NFL history to pass for 3,200 or more yards, rush for 700 or more yards, and have a completion percentage of over 65%. Impressive regular season for Daniel Jones, Shaun.
I think Daniel Jones checked a lot of boxes this year, and I think, look, we're going to have the next couple months to deliberate on his season. Was it great? Was it good? Where does it fall on those adjectives? I think when you look at a couple of factors, Daniel Jones coming into this season, it was, can I take care of the football? The fact that he only threw 5 interceptions all season long, to me, checks that box. Yes, he can be really good in the passing game and still take care of the football. I thought his accuracy this year really showed up. And when you think about all the receivers that he had to reintroduce himself to, no Sterling Shepard on IR. Wan'Dale Robinson missed a lot of games. Kadarius Toney's traded. He had to learn how to get a relationship with Isaiah Hodgins in practice because he had never played a game with him. So you take all those things into consideration. I think Daniel Jones did as good as he could have done given what was going on around him. And I think the other factor that I think Daniel Jones really put a stamp on not only his career but this season right now, he set the franchise record for the Giants with rushing yards by a quarterback in a season. Think about that. The Giants have had a lot of big-time quarterbacks. Charlie Connery, I think it was his record that he broke. That's a weapon. You look at the NFL now. Every NFL team has a quarterback that can run. Look what Jalen Hurts is doing. Look what Josh Allen's doing. You have Lamar Jackson. This offense is different now. So I think Daniel Jones did a great job using his legs. I think he did a great job, not just in design runs, but his scramble ability improved this year. His ability to take care of the football, that was first and foremost. And I think if you're looking at the Giants, and if you're Brian Dable, if you're Joe Shane, can we win games with this guy going forward? And the answer is absolutely. You got to do some things around him. You got to help build this offense up. This offense needs to be more explosive. This offense was an 18 to 20 play drive offense. That's what they were. They weren't a 3 or 4 play, explosive play. Here we go. So I think for Daniel Jones, the great thing about him is he's always looking to improve. And I think the fact that he showed so much growth in one season led you to believe that he can continue to get better.
I definitely think he could continue to get better. I mean, he had 15 touchdowns through the air, which is, it's a stat that needs improvement. But the fact that he did cut his interceptions down, he stopped fumbling as much as he used to, it's a step in the right direction. But, the problem is like you're going to have to go into the quarterback market and how much you pay these, how much they take up the salary cap. That's going to be an issue because if you pay a quarterback that takes up a lot of salary cap and can't be a difference maker and make up for the lack of talent around him, then that's an issue for a sustained high-level play for an offense. So it's going to be an interesting decision. I'm glad I'm not Joe Sheehan having to make these decisions, but I was very impressed with the way Daniel Jones played this year. But, how impressed is the question.
Yeah, impressed with how he played, impressed with how he carried himself, and what he called a special team that this Giants team had in the year of 2022. All right, more to come here on Giants Postgame Live, but first, the Giants' official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and in the Giants mobile app. After the break, we'll hear from Giants running back Saquon Barkley. That and more as Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by NFL All Day, continues after this. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by NFL All Day as we reflect on the season that was for running back Saquon Barkley. Number 26 had a career high in rushing yards with 1,312, 57 receptions for 338 yards through the air as well. Shaun, what do you make of this season that he stayed healthy?
Yeah, huge year for Saquon Barkley. We just talked about Daniel Jones and the boxes he needed to check for Saquon. He needed to check that he could be durable. He could play, the entire season. He did not play the final game of the season, but that was by, coach's decision. A career year in yards, and if had he played Week 18, it would have been even better numbers. I think for Saquon, he showed his true value in the amount of carries you can give him, the amount of times you can count on him, and he still had some big explosive runs, as well as some big explosive passing plays. He proved that, he can still be a focal point of an offense. He can carry an offense when need be. Now, I think you add some pieces around him, and look, you have some receivers that can stretch the field a little bit more, a little more dynamic, and force the defense into 2 high safety looks. He would have had even more yards. But I think for Saquon, this was a really good season for him. Obviously, he's been banged up a couple of years before that, but we saw Saquon hit the hole. I thought the biggest thing he did this season was he was decisive right out of the gate. Week 1 in Tennessee, has over 100 yards rushing. He was a downhill runner. We did not see him dancing like we had previous seasons.
Wasn't dancing. Got quite a few honey buns this season, as Sterling Shepard likes to call 100-yard games. Let's throw it down to the locker room in Philadelphia, where Saquon is speaking.
It sucks. It's a fun team. The guys here, the coaches, the thing that we were able to build this year, the way we played for each other this year, it was special. Obviously, it didn't end how we wanted to end, but not just because of the record or because we made it to the playoffs, the Divisional play. This is probably one of my favorite teams of all time, and that's a sad thing about the NFL. no matter what, that the locker room is not going to be exactly the same next year. So just happy to be able to go out there with all these guys and lay on the line and compete with them. And it's a special bunch, I'll tell you that. All those guys everywhere, offense, defense, special team, coaches, equipment, everybody. Special group of guys and girls. So sad that it's come to an end, but go back, watch film, get ready for the offseason, see where you can improve.
Saquon, how confident were you that you'll be back with this team next year?
I don't want to jump to any conclusions. I've been vocal about how I feel and where I want to be. That's outside my control. I want to show the Giants and show them that the guy that they drafted is still here. I hope I did that. Everyone knows I would love to be a Giant for life, but I really can't give 100% answers. It's out of my control. And sometime this week, I'll get a conversation with my agent Kim and see what's up.
That sound from Saquon Barkley brought to you by Ford. Amani, what do you make of hearing his sentiment that he just wants to be a Giant for life?
Oh, I love it. And the thing about it, he's not just a great running back. He's not just a explosive player. He's the heart and soul of this football team. And when you think of Saquon and you think of the year he had, everybody was focusing on stopping Saquon Barkley when you're facing the Giants early on in the season, and that's when he really he played well. He proved that you can put all the, he could carry a team, he could dominate a game, and I just am never for giving away some of the a talented player like that can take over a game and dominate. There's very few difference makers in the NFL, and Saquon is definitely one of them.
Yeah, great player, great teammate, the Giants nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. We've got more to come here on Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by NFL All Day. Stay with us. We'll be back after this for more reaction and looking ahead to what's next for this Giants team. Hey Giants fans, check out the Eli Manning Show presented by Panini Prism Trading Cards. All you have to do is subscribe to the Giants YouTube channel to catch all of the new shows. It's the Eli Manning Show every Thursday on the Giants YouTube page. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by NFL All Day as we recap the Giants' loss to the Eagles in the NFC Divisional round of the playoffs. Lots of tweets coming in from Giants Nation, Big Blue Nation. Justin Tuck, of course, saying, proud of what our G-men accomplished this year. We're heading in the right direction. Lick our wounds and regroup. See you next year, Giants. Lots of people taking to Twitter to just say, hey, you know what? Proud of what we saw from this special team.
Well, actually, it's this year. So, it's 2023. The season's going to...
Anyway, Julian Love also chiming in, saying always hurts when you put your heart into this game, falls short, but appreciate all the love and support from Giants Nation this year.
Yeah, I think they do appreciate it. And what was really cool was when the Giants made the playoffs, it was cool to see how the tri-state area embraced them. Everywhere you went, you saw people saying, hey, go Giants. I was driving down the highway just yesterday and I saw big billboards, hey, go G-Men, beat Philly. So as a player, it's always really cool. Look, playing for New York team, it's tough. Like the fans, they're hard on you. Like you have to earn their cheers. And I think when you see them rally behind you and support, I think it's very special, and I think the players appreciated that.
Absolutely. I see people walk by my house wearing the Giants, and I saw 3 or 4 of them, so I was excited for this morning's game.
Well, hey, thank you guys for hanging with us all season here on Giants Postgame Live. We really appreciate that and appreciate hanging out with you every week, but that's a season for us,
that's
right?
We'll see you at Ben and Jack's.
Amani, Toomer, Shaun, Madelyn, Burke. We'll see you next year.